Spicer. All beauty is at continuous war with God. Jack Spicer. You've got it all wrong. Whatever it is cannot be labeled, cornered, captured, or caged. Its power comes from the mystery. Beauty, the direct result of its ineffability. Not knowing is the secret. Not needing to know is the key. Realize that the answer is unattainable and ought to remain that way. You defile the very possibility of revelation when you try to place it in a box. Erect palaces, build altars, put it on display for all the world to see. The glory in captivity. Not knowing can be painful, but it feels more honest. Rather be in the dark with hope than standing in the light, nothing left to learn. My disappointment is boundless. Your pretty words would be easier to swallow were they not so often followed by the gleeful slitting of your brother's throat. What, I ask, has any of this to do with love?
Well,
that's kind of a manifesto, so I figured I'd get that out of the way first. You know where I'm coming from, at least a little bit there. This is what I call a collage poem, so all the material either came from other poems or overheard conversations, things I heard on the radio, things like that. And I have a manuscript of these collage poems and other prose poems that I'm shopping around at the moment. Reciprocity is in the house, an entirely happy convergence. Our thoughts have forms. It's all a movie, including this conversation. There's no answer to it. Sometimes I reference people or the stars, the sun, the moon, and universal interstellar space type shit. But then she looks at me with those eyes. She punches me in the physics and I realize that we are filled with the seeds of all the troubles and blessings of existence, but also provided with the sustaining virtue, hope. You don't see any magic? Here on the streets is action. It is the necromantical noumena of the netherworld we are courting. It's exciting, very large. A non-human abstract dance, a war of elements, torn, resoldered percussion gestures. It is the fecund labyrinth again, with so many rooms, cells, vibrations, percussions, repercussions. I'm not even full-fledged. I think I've discovered innocence. Lips touch soft my rim. When you see them with space between them, they are phenomenal specks of light. Let's not become robots and forget our fellow man. Applaud all songs. If crows were robots, I'd love them just the same. I think to love bravely is best, and accept as much as you can bear. You said, well, you can ask me after the reading, but that last bit there, I think to love bravely is best, and accept as much as you can bear. That's Marilyn Monroe who wrote that. I wrote all of this one, and that's called Burnt Retina. Joseph Campbell and John Cage sat on a toadstool discussing dreams, parsing out the pattern in the scarf around Joe's neck. Electric wire choking the life out of a tree limb. It was as if they had stared into each other's eyes forever. The larger and smaller friend eschewed the street, preferring charcoal to the sinister marsh. John poured mushroom tea into his eye socket. Little was said. John Cage was a very talented mushroom hunter. Ever since the first time, I've needed a fistful. Can I have 4 minutes and 33 seconds of silence, please? God, I just went blank. I fell silent in the spot where they'd left the tea strainer. The day John Cage died, I heard a cough in the wood, found a mushroom cap, a very personal column, wept for you, for me. You lean forward, tip a cap toward me, glimmer, open for me. I fall into the inverted lotus, crawl forward into the stem, diminishing as I go. Sod between my fingers, dew on my back. Insects ascend the stalks beginning at my ankles. I roll, tumble, and land on my back. Eyes assaulted by sunlight, dissipating into clouds which resemble your spinning petals. Blossom embossed upon my fluttering eyelids as I am pulled into the earth, my return complete, one with the sod, worm food, finished, done for, replenished, a seed at the beginning and end of a long, familiar story. I'm from Long Island originally, and I've been out here since 2001, and I'm still complaining. So this is a poem about kind of about being bi-coastal, because once you've been here on the other side of the country long enough, you have to admit that you're bi-coastal, right? Bi-coastal devotion, and it starts with a quotation from Patti Smith's amazing book, Just Kids. So this is what Patti said. In the war of magic and religion, is magic ultimately the victor? Perhaps priest and magician were once one, but the priest, learning humility in the face of God, discarded the spell for prayer. Robert Mapplethorpe trusted in the law of empathy, by which he could, by his will, transfer himself into an object or a work of art, and thus influence the outer world. He did not feel redeemed by the work he did. He did not seek redemption. He sought to see what others did not, the projection of his imagination. Patti Smith, Just Kids. I have an image of the Virgin in my home, a memory of Truck Darling in my heart, not the first kept woman to have found her salvation in Islam. Have formed allegiance in a second to Cedar Saigo, Robert Mapplethorpe, and Patti Smith, pressed together in my bag, entwined limbs, commingled hearts, entangled in a demigod's embrace. There were temptations and witches and demons we never dreamed of, and there was splendor we only partially imagined. Look on as moments blossom, bear fruit, wither, and die, only to be replaced by further moments. Our friendship continues to open like a calla lily, forming a canopy in which to catch the sun. When at last all our moments have come to an end, look over your shoulder again to glimpse the kids we are and were, playing dress-up, listening to the Velvet Underground, digging Larry Rivers and Stan Brakhage, standing arm in arm on the Coney Island boardwalk, smiling for endless snapshots. No time to mourn, undaunted, unbowed, faraway towers burst through concrete, to shoot toward the sky, reborn, determined, never again to squander the light. And this next piece is about music, but it's not about that right away, but we're getting there. It's called Charmed Life. It is not easy to come to a definitive conclusion about fortune. Is everything predestined, or do we make our own luck? Can our desires be made manifest? Do we simply dress the chaos of our lives in the cloak of post-justification, or are we mages molding reality to our whim? Slash through the net of habit-forming thoughts. Rock is all about guitar. Jazz guitar is lame because they always play clean, play it safe, mint out soul. Santana isn't merely virtuosic. He is the vessel for a sound that comes from somewhere beyond him. The vibration of his guitar strings uplifts, sends the heart soaring, causes damaged cells to regenerate. Tones so sublime, he must close his eyes, hold the note till it keens, till it leaps into the stratosphere. Satori, enlightenment in an instant, nirvana, rapture, never satisfied, after fulfillment, begin again. This castle, made of sand, falls into the sea, eventually. My thoughts about luck become conflated with my thoughts about rock and roll because the music saved my ass. Everyone is a snob about the music they like and wonders why others waste their time on nonsense. This attitude is obnoxious and irrational, but unavoidable. On a good day, life-saving tunes arrive in the mail from the East Coast. My music angels come through again. The soundtrack unfolds. Music gonna make everything all right. Rock liberates, allows us to imagine ourselves as rebels, even when we are completely imprisoned. I gave her my heart, but she wanted my soul. Ganesh raises his axe to sever the bond of all attachments. I must sing again, or they will never know it was me who transcended this unpleasant turn of events. I get by with a little help from my friends. Amateur alchemist, remover of obstacles, lover, lifer, acolyte, wide-eyed, submissive, true believer, renunciate, pompatus of, jeepster for. In keeping with the theme of our opinions, which we all have opinions and you know what they say about them, about music, why I hate going to shows in the Pacific Northwest. The only trouble with your fine ass is that it never moves. Where I come from, asses compelled to move doth move. In fact, when in the presence of rock royalty, like John Fogerty or Joan Jett, it's a matter of respect. If you can't bring yourself to get up and dance, to feel alive for an hour or two, why not stay home and listen to the fucking CD? That was about my experience seeing John Fogerty at McMenamin's Edgefield. So if you were there and you were upright with me, then that poem is for you, and the rest of you know who you are. The revolution we were promised. It's actually, this is not the revolution we were promised, part of a series. A black man is beat by white men wielding poles in a parking garage in Charlottesville. If you voted Republican, you voted for this. If you voted Republican, you are responsible for this. American politics circa 2016-2017. Narcissistic sociopath colludes with Russia to steal the election he lost by nearly 3 million votes, and upon winning immediately begins dismantling all that is good about the country. Boasts about grabbing women by the pussy, expresses interest in fucking his daughter. On his phone constantly, tweeting reactionary bile in response to what he sees on TV. Racist lowlifes encouraged by the GOP to travel to campuses and parks and liberal strongholds, armed with bats, flying swastika flags. Seas of white boys possessed by AM radio-inspired hatred, waving Walmart torches. American terrorist drives a car straight into a crowd, aiming to mow down as many people as possible. Thug-in-chief won't denounce it. White nationalists, Nazis, and white supremacists are his base. Thug-in-chief thinks provoking nuclear war is